Welcome to the WorldWire Update YT. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon for more updates and thrilling short scenes. On April 3, 2025, President Donald Trump stunned the global auto industry by slapping a sweeping 25% tariff on all foreign car imports. The announcement, delivered with characteristic bravado, sent immediate ripples through financial markets and left automakers scrambling to assess the fallout. For many, it was a move that signaled a new era of economic nationalism, with the White House determined to rewrite the rules of global trade. This was quickly followed by a targeted 27.5% duty on European cars and parts, sending shockwaves from Stuttgart to Tokyo. European automakers, already facing stiff competition and razor-thin margins, suddenly found themselves at the center of a transatlantic trade storm. The message was clear. The US market would no longer be an easy playing field for foreign brands. The stated goal, protect American jobs and force automakers to build more cars in the US, was touted as a bold step to revive domestic manufacturing. Trump's administration argued that these tariffs would bring back lost jobs, strengthen the heartland, and restore American industrial might. But the reality was chaos. An industry built on global supply chains suddenly faced massive uncertainty. Production schedules were thrown into disarray, and executives scrambled to understand how to keep their factories running amid rising costs and supply shortages. European giants like Volkswagen and Mercedes-Benz, who rely on US sales, saw their business models upended overnight. Years of investment in American plants and dealerships now seemed at risk, as the cost of doing business soared and consumer prices threatened to rise. The tariffs ignored the fact that many foreign cars sold in America are already built here, using globally sourced parts. These vehicles, assembled by American workers, are a testament to the interconnected nature of modern manufacturing, a reality the new policies seem to overlook. Instead of boosting US jobs, the move threatened to disrupt American plants and dealerships run by these companies. Workers faced layoffs, and dealerships braced for declining sales as uncertainty gripped the industry. Experts warned this protectionist gamble would paralyze investment and planning, as automakers scrambled to adapt to a new, unpredictable trade landscape. The ripple effects extended far beyond boardrooms, reaching suppliers, logistics firms, and even local communities dependent on auto jobs. Trump's tariffs didn't just target foreign companies, they risked destabilizing the entire US auto sector. The uncertainty threatened to stall innovation, delay new model launches, and undermine America's position in the global automotive race. The shockwave was only the beginning. As the dust settled, the world watched to see how the industry and the global economy would respond to this unprecedented challenge. For Volkswagen, the tariffs spelled disaster. Billions of euros lost in 2025 alone. The financial impact was immediate and severe, shaking the very foundations of the company. With 65% of VW cars and all Audi and Porsche vehicles for the US market imported, the company was hit hard. The logistics nightmare was unprecedented. Shipments from Mexico halted as VW scrambled for solutions. The supply chain disruptions were felt across the globe. Facing an existential threat, CEO Oliver Blume entered urgent talks with the Trump administration, offering major US investments in exchange for tariff relief. The stakes couldn't have been higher. The result, a reduced 15% tariff for VW, still a heavy blow but better than 27.5%. It was a bittersweet victory. This victory came at a cost. VW's special deal angered European peers and regulators, fracturing EU unity. The political fallout was significant. The crisis forced VW to rethink its US strategy, considering localizing Audi production. This was a monumental shift in their operational strategy, and expanding exports from American plants. The company had to adapt quickly to survive. These are drastic, expensive pivots made under duress. The financial burden was immense. The tariffs didn't force VW out of America, but they did force a fundamental transformation. The company had to reinvent itself. The company's scramble to adapt is a warning to the entire industry. No one is immune to such geopolitical shifts. The cost of survival is steep. The lessons learned are invaluable, but the price paid is enormous. The tariffs, designed to protect and boost US automakers like Ford, were supposed to give American companies a competitive edge in the global market. But instead of providing relief, they ended up hurting these companies too, creating new challenges on the factory floor and in the boardroom. Ford, which is deeply reliant on a vast network of global suppliers, suddenly saw the costs for essential parts and raw materials soar almost overnight. The company was forced to suspend its financial guidance, warning investors that the ongoing trade war would slash earnings by a staggering $1.5 billion. Higher steel and component prices squeezed profits, forcing Ford and other automakers into tough decisions: either absorb the losses or raise prices and risk losing loyal customers. The entire market grew volatile. As prices climbed, demand weakened, and sales slowed across the board, hurting not just Ford but all brands in the industry. Retaliatory tariffs from other countries made it even harder to export US-built vehicles, closing off key international markets and leaving more cars unsold at home. The dream of a protected, thriving American auto industry faded fast, replaced by uncertainty and shrinking opportunities. Instead of stability, the tariffs created a more unpredictable, shrinking market for everyone involved in the auto business. Even supposed beneficiaries like Ford found themselves counting the costs, facing tough questions about the future. The trade war's collateral damage was everywhere: suppliers shuttered, workers laid off, and communities left with empty factories. No one in the industry was truly shielded from the fallout, as the effects rippled through every level of the supply chain. The battle lines blurred, and in the end, everyone, workers, companies, and entire towns, paid the price. Behind the numbers, the trade war's real victims are workers and communities. Job cuts and hiring freezes swept the industry, turning hopes of a manufacturing boom into widespread layoffs. Volkswagen's plan to cut 35,000 jobs globally, Jaguar Land Rover's layoffs in the UK, and similar moves across the sector all pointed to a grim reality. American workers weren't spared. Factories assembling foreign-branded cars in the US faced uncertainty as supply chains faltered. The very people tariffs were meant to protect found their jobs at risk, not from foreign rivals, but from their own government's policy. The global nature of car making means pain is shared: lost wages, shuttered plants, and struggling towns on both sides of the Atlantic. The human cost is measured in livelihoods, not just balance sheets. Trump's tariffs shattered the old order, forcing nations and automakers into new, uneasy alliances. Volkswagen's special deal with the US broke EU unity, encouraging others to seek their own arrangements and weakening Europe's collective power. The UK, post-Brexit, secured a unique deal with the US, creating a patchwork of tariffs and rules. This complexity rewards political maneuvering over free market competition. Meanwhile, China seized the moment. While Western automakers struggled, Chinese EV makers like BYD surged in Europe. Tesla's sales slumped, BYD's tripled, and China captured the market of the future. The global chessboard is being redrawn, with bilateral deals and political leverage replacing predictable trade rules. Automakers must now hedge bets and diversify production, sacrificing efficiency for survival. The industry's future is shaped by politics, not just engineering. The consequences of these new rivalries are only beginning to unfold. Ultimately, it's American consumers who foot the bill for tariffs. A 27.5% duty on imports means thousands added to sticker prices, making new cars unaffordable for many. Even US-built vehicles get pricier as parts and materials costs rise. Domestic automakers use the chaos to raise prices too, shrinking consumer choice. As new cars become out of reach, demand for used vehicles spikes, driving up their prices as well. Middle-class families are squeezed, forced to settle for older, less reliable cars. The ripple effect slows the entire economy. Dealerships, suppliers, and automakers all feel the pinch. The policy meant to protect ends up punishing the very people it was supposed to help. Higher prices and fewer choices are the new reality. The auto industry now faces a crossroads: damage control today, uncertainty tomorrow. Automakers are lobbying for exemptions, reworking supply chains, and passing costs to buyers, but these are stopgaps. The bigger challenge: planning for a world where trade rules can change overnight. The industry may split into regional blocks, duplicating factories and raising costs for everyone. Meanwhile, the EV revolution is accelerating elsewhere, as Western automakers are distracted by tariffs. Without a return to stable, rules-based trade, the US risks falling behind in the race for the future of mobility. The choices made now will decide whether the industry adapts or declines. The road ahead is uncertain, and the stakes have never been higher.